Well, Israel's ground forces reportedly remain on the offensive in Gaza this hour. These pictures are said to show columns of tanks and other armored vehicles moving through the north of the territory. The war with Hamas is now into its fourth week. This latest military operation, the longest of any raid yet. Hello, everyone. I'm Natalie Collada. You are watching CBC News Network. That expanded Israeli ground operation is being backed up by intensified attacks from the air and the sea. This video, verified by CNN, shows a scene of destruction in Gaza City today. Several buildings were targeted, and Israel says the attack killed a number of top Hamas commanders. Phone and internet systems, meanwhile, have been knocked out, something this BBC reporter inside the territory says has sparked a new wave of fears.
So people unable to communicate with each other, a state of panic, fear and chaos. 4 different areas where Israel is being hitting hard since last night. People were telling the local radio stations that this is something that they have never ever heard of. The scale of explosions, the intensity of the airstrikes in the area, the people said they have never seen before.
Now, the CBC's Margaret Evans leads off our coverage today from Jerusalem. Margaret, the Israeli military says its troops are still inside Gaza. What more can you tell us about this ongoing operation?
Well, we're not entirely sure that they're still there now, but certainly Israeli Defense Forces, when they gave their regular morning briefing several hours ago, said that forces were still in the arena and conducting operations. They announced late last night, after a really heavy and sustained period of airstrikes in the northern and central parts of the Gaza Strip, that they were going to be expanding their ground operations. It's not yet thought that this is the start of a full-scale or at least a sustained ground invasion. It's thought potentially they could be establishing a bridgehead. They said that they're targeting specifically Hamas underground bunkers, tunnels, what Israeli Defense Forces describe as the Hamas Metro, this extensive system of underground tunnels. It is expected that this is going to continue for some time. We're going to see repeat of this going on. Of course, along with that announcement last night, shortly after the Israel Defense Forces said that they were going to be expanding operations, we heard that into the communications, cell phones, the internet was cut right across the Gaza Strip. Obviously, that was going to create all sorts of problems for a severe humanitarian crisis on the ground. We started to hear from the World Health Organization, from the International Committee of the Red Cross, that they couldn't contact their teams on the ground. And of course, that would be impacting the efforts of ambulances and rescue teams in Gaza to be able to respond to this heavier military campaign, or the heaviest that we've seen in the 22 days of this Israeli war against Hamas so far.
And Margaret, as this ground incursion continues, we know that there is mounting tension between families of hostages being held in Gaza as well as the Israeli government. So what are we hearing from them?
Well, in that Israel Defense Forces briefing this morning, the spokesman Daniel Hagari made a point of saying that the rescue, the safe return of hostages continued to be one of the primary objectives of the military campaign. He urged people, Israelis, not to believe what he described as rumors about hostage negotiations or deals. And he said that the Israel Defense Forces, the government, were in contact with the families, were keeping in close contact with the families. But we're hearing today from a group of those families protesting now in Tel Aviv. They don't feel like they're being connected. They have a lot of anxiety about what's going on and about the safety of their hostages, given the escalation of the military campaign. We have a clip of one young man who has a missing friend. Have a listen to what he had to say about what's happening and the communication that the families and friends of hostages are receiving from the government and the military.
Yeah, we are here today because yesterday's attack on the IDF that invaded Gaza, and no one is talking to us. We want answers. We want to ask questions to the government. We are afraid for our hostages, our family. We want to bring them home alive.
They say they're operating in a complete vacuum, that the worry is now beyond bearable, and they're extremely angry not to have heard from the Israeli Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, and the Minister of Defense. They want to keep that pressure up. I should say that not all of the hostages feel the same. One man who is lost has a cousin's husband and 2 children who've been taken hostage has said he believes that really the only way to get them out now, if at all, is to go in on the ground to try to make that happen. He doesn't believe that there's any trust. And a few days ago, this isn't something we can verify, but Hamas was saying that as many as 50 hostages had been killed by the air strikes. But this gives you a picture of just how worrisome it is for people with loved ones in that position.
Such a challenging time for so many. We appreciate your reporting. CBC's Margaret Evans in Jerusalem.